Hello, Emmy.
Hello, Sven.
It's good to see you again.
You too.
Let's see if we get any more visitors today. And you know what? I'm actually curious. I'm gonna look real quick if anyone even watched these videos so far. Let's look at our analytics. All right, virtual coffee meeting. Number, where is it? 9 was last week, right? I don't even see it. Has less than 0 views. That can't be. Huh? What's happening? Yeah, I mean, they have a couple of views, not a whole lot. That's all right. Oh,
Your
it doesn't
blur
show.
feature cuts off your nose a little bit when you turn to the side. Yeah, you got no nose.
It's not so bad. It's a little too big anyway. All right. Uh, Ignore the analytics, I guess. So, how's your week so far?
Uh, it's pretty good besides not feeling 100%.
You want to elaborate on that or just leave it at that? I mean, the pretty
Yeah,
good part, I
I'm
think,
thinking.
the business side.
Elaborate on my health concerns. Um, well, I had a sale last week, so that was cool. Hopefully she should have gotten it yesterday, so I hope that she'll review it, send me some feedback, because that would be cool.
You know what you should do, actually? Sign up for Loom and send your, with every order, send your customers a link to Loom with like we can work on this together, like make it like short and snappy, but like to review, like um, remember how Crown and Paw or whatever that company is called,
Mm-hmm.
they built like this huge following by just people posting the stuff, the pictures they get of their
Right.
royal dog and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pictures and videos, and either Loom or maybe even testimonial, but Loom is free for up to 5 minutes, and it's about as simple as it gets, right?
Okay. Yeah,
I
that would be
think.
good, especially as if I shift off of Etsy. Um,
Yeah, no matter where it is, I think
that
it's
would be
fine. Like they
helpful.
just, if they like it, what they get, right? And I think it could be fun. We can test it, right? We can test it with Loom and see how it works with on the phone, for example, and then we'll just write a little, postcard size instruction with the link and um, and a QR code or something, and we can probably just do a link forward from your website, so imme.com/review or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't have to wonder, well, what's this loom.com/12473, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make it really part of your brand, and that it just goes to Loom, then that's fine, I think. And then if they whatever they review, right? Like the dog's sitting in the dog bed, that'd be great. Even just a
Right.
picture, right?
Yep.
So let's start. Look, so we said earlier, for these coffee meetings. If we're by ourselves, we might as well use the time to just plan our strategies. Did you start anything to kind of structure your thoughts as of conversations from last week yet?
So
like, not to get into that actually, but just to, because like write this down right now, you know?
yeah, I do have a Notion page. It's just I don't want to start putting stuff in it before I have it like set up the way I want it. And
yeah, then that's the catch-22, right?
yeah,
you will always be daunting. It will always be daunting to set it up because you don't really know what you're going to need, and you don't want to put anything in until you have it set up. So just start, put it in, just have notes or have ideas. Start with
okay.
a headline, right? Like make it at least a little bit structured as you put it in. Give it a headline, ideas, or something, or well, you already have some structure, right? Like you have, of course, your sales, e-commerce. That's one page, and then everything about e-commerce can go in there. We can also do it live now if you want us to share your screen.
No, I don't.
But put it down, and then because I think we talk a lot about a lot of ideas between the two of us, and then we forget, right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I like put a template on my Giglets Garments page, and I don't know I don't want it to be that anymore.
Just make a new page then.
Okay.
If it's just to keep, like, the point is then to just go back, right? Like if it's, of course, live on the call or something, it's different, but just don't forget that right after or tonight, that's part of what we talked about last week, right? Like just you need to find kind of your rhythm on when do you spend time on structuring and
Right.
on strategizing, and just make that part of your routine.
Okay.
So yeah, it'd be cool, and we can integrate that into your page, you know, like both on Etsy and on your blog. Or probably we probably want to talk about your overall brand strategy again too, and how you want to represent that.
Yeah.
Because the blog is good, but there needs to be kind of a landing page to it, probably.
But yeah, I do have a page here now for ideas.
Okay. Yeah, but that's good. How much did you sell it for?
$35.
Okay. And that was which one?
It was like a paisley pillowcase on the top and corduroy on the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to be super important to close that feedback loop, right, with your customers.
Right.
Because that's like, once it's shipped, then what? I mean, you're not going to have everyone review it, obviously, but like you put already a lot of time into it, into the product itself, and then to even the packaging and making the experience great. But if you don't get feedback from the customers, if they care, then
right.
Why kind of do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just got a message, Facebook Marketplace. Someone is interested in the van we're selling, and we're wondering if there's a way to finance it.
Oh no.
Always these kinds of questions.
Dangerous.
Yeah. All right, cool. What else is going on?
I made a hat yesterday. That was fun.
Show us.
I'm gonna have the same problem like I did last time, that it doesn't want me to share my screen.
Well, just put your hat on.
Oh yeah. That's one way to do it. Here's my hat.
It wouldn't possibly be the banana sheet we talked about 3 weeks ago,
It
would it?
is. So I kind of had this idea of like, let's see how many things I can make out of this one banana sheet that I found on the side of the road. So I have a dog bed, a dog jacket, a headband, and now a hat. So I have like a little bit of fabric left from that one sheet, and then I have still the entire fitted sheet as well. So I'm gonna make a whole collection of.
Yeah, which is good, right? Like, so again, another entry for your Notion page, another idea.
Yeah.
Upcycling collections, right? So you're already working on zero waste upcycling, which is in line with that. So you're trying to reuse every single square inch of the material you're using, and it should be represented that way, right? On your store, on your page, in your brand.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you want to call it, like upcycling collection, banana collection in this case, because like
Right.
I think kind of what that triggers in my head right now is almost like a little bit like an artist, like in a way it is art, right? Anyway, but you have like I think you can lean into that. Actually, you're somewhere on that intersection between a creator, an educator, and an activist and an artist, right? Or
Yeah.
you could be over time at least. And it'd be cool, like this is a small example, right? It's one sheet found on the side of the road, rescued from the landfill, generated how much economic impact. Another idea we talked about last week, I think, donate a certain percentage of your proceeds.
Yeah.
So let's write all of these down every time we have these conversations, and then once a week we'll go over them, and we decide which new ones to implement, which old ones to maybe stop or change or double down on,
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, each of those ideas leads to like 10 things which need to happen, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, like at the very least, I filmed a video yesterday of making this hat, which I thought might be a disaster because I had no idea what I was doing. I just I made up the pattern and whatever. But it actually turned out to be pretty good. And now I can like reference the other banana sheet projects and put in the same little snippet of like getting the sheet and that kind of thing. So kind of creating, like we talked about, more a storyline between videos even that connects everything instead of just being like one project, one project, one project.
Right, yeah. And not all of your creations will be in that realm, but I think that works. It works on the video, right? Like you have that, the blurring is pretty aggressive. You have that on the videos, but you also have it in the product itself, right? So like literally, I'm picturing your store now. There's different kinds of products, but there's the collections, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then someone could opt to buy the entire collection, right? If they wanted to do so. And again, then for the donations, the idea which popped in my head before that was tracking the economic impact, right? So how much goes in to each creation and how much comes out. Now, there is 2 steps on the out, I think, of course. Of course, you can just say, well, I priced it at this. Until it's sold, it hasn't made that impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can also compare it to what would it be new, right? And then maybe have like the estimated value and then the actual sold value, right? And then because that is in a way the economic impact you made, right? Like you saved $35 to be spent on a new dog bed.
Yeah.
And I think if you wanted to go crazy on that one, estimate how much other materials you invested, right? Like let's say, let's be generous here, $1 worth of yarn and $1 worth of electricity, right? Something like that. Just to keep that simple, because of course that'd be crazy. That'd be cool, right? Like that's going back to also what we talked about last week, like building that story around every single product.
Right.
And like you need to, are you writing this down?
Yes.
Okay. Only if those ideas are actually sounding good to you, right? Because of course it's your venture, not mine. But then like develop that template, right? Like what is the story for each product? And you probably have a couple different templates, right? Like for the collections, there's different things you were highlighting than for just a single item, maybe, or a rescue or something like, or a curb find, or whatever. We still need to finish that sewing machine video too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Cool, but that's good.
And Harold, did I show Harold yet?
You have not shown Harold.
Oh, he's in the bedroom.
You want to explain at least?
Let me get him. Let me grab Harold.
All right. We'll see Harold.
All right, this is Harold. And he's a cat. He's made of flannel and denim and corduroy scraps. And I love him. And I think there's a lot of potential in Harold. I initially started looking up like little plush patterns to make dog toys, because like that whole pet angle, and then like I'm trying to think about how many things I can create with upcycled textiles that would replace, something you can purchase new from a big box pet store. And my dog likes Harold already, but she doesn't get him. So that's why I made him. I posted him in one of my plastic free groups, and there's already like 3 or 4 people who asked, are these in your Etsy shop? Can I buy them? Blah, blah, blah. Mostly just for the plush, not even as a dog toy, just as a little human toy, I guess. So that was fun and opens a lot of possibilities. But then on the other hand, it's like another avenue I could go down, and like, what am I going to focus on,
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, the question is, are you keeping track of that? Like I would suggest leads, like have another, like again, you need like a section in your in Notion in this case, where you keep track of all of the e-commerce related things, right? Because that's a lead. Copy that out. Like make sure you kind of make yourself like a little CRM or something, where you keep track of these people, and then just copy in the link to that post or the name of them and the name to their profile or something, because in 3 weeks it's going to be hard to find,
Right.
But besides that, I think whatever, my chair going down. Whatever can create money obviously is good. My opinion about it. It's the time you invest is also critical, but what you could do, like part of your goal is to create the community, right? Like create a following, and however you can do that, but you need to give your potential customers an avenue to become a follower, right? So for example, question, like when you posted that, is there any backlink to anything?
No.
Okay, you see the problem, right?
Yes, but then when I include the links, it doesn't get the reach. Like people don't give a shit because they think I'm just trying to promote my YouTube channel or sell them something. Like it has to be like truly organic. Hey, look at this, what I just made. And then when they inquire,
Yeah, fair.
I then
But
post a link.
did you?
No, because he's not in the store yet.
But could you post a link to the video?
I didn't
Is
make a
there a
video
video?
about him. No.
Okay, you should have.
Well, I just followed a pattern, so I didn't think it was that interesting. And then I didn't.
Well,
I don't really know how that works with using other people's patterns. Like, are you allowed to?
well, is it a free pattern?
Yeah.
Like, as free as in you just found it somewhere and you're assuming, or free as in yes, this is free
I mean,
common,
free.
like,
Somebody made it and put it up on their blog and said this is a free pattern.
yeah, so then it's fine. Just reference them. Just talk
Yeah.
about it, right? Like promote their work, of course. Like absolutely you should. Like make the video about that part too, right? Like how did you find it? Where is it? Promote that. And then,
Right.
but your video is the actual creation part, and you're marrying that pattern with the upcycling angle, right? And reusing scraps. And you're pointing out that this is a great pattern because it has a lot of small pieces, right?
Right.
Which works for scraps, right? So that's your angle, and I think that's totally valid, and you should definitely do that. But then even beyond that, we have to think about what is going to be your. I mean, yes, YouTube, certainly you want them to follow you there.
Like, for instance, yesterday when I was making the hat, I thought that would have been something really interesting to have like on Twitch or something live streaming, because it kind of loses a little bit if you go in and edit it after, to where I'm like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. I mean, it still works, right, to have in the video that I'm not sure about it, but I just think it would have been even more interesting as like a watch live with me. I'm just gonna try to pull this banana hat out of my butt.
Right? But like it might, I don't know about Twitch, but if there is an organic following, building up like this, but the downside or the risk you're taking there is that there's just no watchers either, right? Now, then it's
Yeah,
going to feel exactly the same.
right.
So can you do something in between? Or, I mean, it's fine, I think, if you want to do that. But if you want to live stream, and we talked about this before, you need to do it consistently. There needs to be like at least one day a week where you do that, right? Because otherwise it's not going to build a following. Also, I think, do you have a timeline for your creation videos, just like we have for our off-grid channel?
Well, right now it's just roughly by Wednesday, because that's when our Wednesday night is our peer group.
Okay, right. Okay. That, of course, that rhythm also helps. But let me go back 2 steps, because what I was thinking about is the question on how do you get the people who bought something into your community? How do you get the people who like some of the things you just post organically into
Right.
that community, right? And there's multiple channels, and you kind of need to think about which ones you want to get them in through. Like, you want to control that community as much as you can, and maybe you could even think about starting an upcycling community yourself, like either a Slack or a Discord channel or something like that, or forum, where, because I think it will be very powerful, or even just a Facebook page, right? A group. It will be very powerful when these people talk amongst themselves too.
Yeah.
They came there because they bought something, or because they liked one of your creations, or they liked one of your videos, but there will be more value out of the community itself, right? And I think your goal is just to be kind of one of the thought leaders in that community. So
Yeah,
think
that's
about
interesting.
that. But like, no matter what that will be, and there's probably a couple of trials, right, until you find what works for you. But you need to think about that like soon, because you want to start experimenting with those interfaces or those funnels, right? Like, what is let's call them a channel. Like, what's a channel they come through to get to your community, and what is your community? Certainly right now, yes, the YouTube, follow me there, but like you said, there's a bit of a threshold. Instagram, Snapchat, no, not Snapchat, TikTok you have, right?
Yeah.
Your website, I think, it's like in the crypto space, Discord works really well because you can, it's like Slack, but it's also a crypto product, but it's easier to just kind of promote like, hey, join us here. Versus with Slack, you have to have like, I think the paid version, or you need to invite them. But also you need to understand how your people are like that, right? Like they might prefer different channels. Like Facebook groups obviously work.
Right.
But then if you have a Facebook group and you promote that in the Facebook group, that usually doesn't work either.
Yeah. Interesting.
And ultimately the goal is try to convert every single interaction you have, whatever that means, right? I think you want sales, yes, but I think the bigger picture is you want to build that audience. And what does that mean? Just because they interacted with you once doesn't mean they're in your audience, right? They might never hear from you again.
Yeah.
You need to make it kind of guarantee that you will pop up again in front of them. How do you do that? So we have the same issue with the other channel we're working on together, which is the Living Off the Grid. And obviously, it's all about creating value before trying to monetize or something, right? I mean, that channel is kind of, there's no direct way to monetize. There's no e-commerce angle or anything associated with it. So it's really even more so about creating that audience, and then later down the road, right, monetize that through YouTube itself or excuse me, Amazon affiliate links and stuff like that. So last week we built a tool for that community, which we're currently reaching through that channel, which is a sub part of that community with the school bus conversion niche, right? Called SchoollyDecks, which is essentially just a page to accumulate school bus conversion videos and tag them by topic. And I thought that would be very helpful because, we used it ourselves that way. We kind of saved certain videos, which we thought would be helpful for our own conversion and so forth. And we shared that, and it got some decent feedback. I think most people liked it. Some people even posted their own videos to kind of keep track on it. And it's just an easier way to explore very specific niche topics by category. Now the question is, how do we further promote that, right?
Yeah. And like integrating it with what we are doing on other levels as well.
Yeah, that's true. We still need like our brand page or our main portal, I guess, in a way, for Living Off the Grid as well. Which then kind of has SchoollyDecks as a resource, right?
Right.
Do you think, I don't know how we do this scalably, but do you think if we just use the channel crawler, for example, for whoever doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's channelcrawler.com. It's like this wonky little tool for discovering YouTube channels. It actually works pretty good. Doesn't have all of the channels, of course, but it is nice. And just search for all of the, not all of them, maybe there's a lot, schooly channels, and just reach out to them and say, hey, we built this tool. We would love for you to, if you're interested, to add your videos and categorize them. Do you think people would react to that?
Some. Yeah, some. I mean, it just has to be done in a way that it doesn't seem like a spammy DM, like, hey, do this thing, which is really hard to achieve, depending on your platform. I mean, I know with the one Instagram page that I run that got semi-popular or whatever, if somebody sends me something that's like, hey, I made this, I'm not going to click on it,
Yeah.
It would have to be like somebody that I follow and interact with, that I know, or something personally relevant,
Right.
beyond
Right.
just like, this is similar.
Yeah. So, I mean, the schooly community, I think the main channel is Instagram, probably.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're on our way there. I think we have, what, 100, 200, something like that, followers in, what, 2 weeks now or so. So that's pretty good, but I think you're right. We need to start interacting with the others there, right? And
Right.
maybe the point is then just be like, hey, I mean, that's just the fucking stupid, lots of throw words, problem with Instagram, right? Because everyone has the problem. They want to promote their YouTube channels also. And then, like I was going to say, maybe we discover videos there and be like, hey, oh, this is an awesome video. Do you mind me adding this to our Schooly decks, right? We built to keep track of videos or something. That would be a more natural way to interacting, maybe. But we could also do that on YouTube comments, of course. Is that better than a DM, you think?
Well, I think comments sometimes can be better than DMs because there's the public aspect that if they don't reply to it, people see that. Like you always want to be seen replying to your comments on Instagram and shit. Just because it shows that you're engaged with your audience. So there is that. But I would say there's interaction that needs to come before that.
Right.
Oh my God.
What?
I just felt something on my foot and I looked and it's cat vomit.
Ew.
In the chair that I had my foot up on.
Ew. Well, that makes for a good YouTube comment.
Oh my gosh.
Content. Well, you might want to either go clean that up or take yourself off the stream here for a minute.
Yeah. Bye. I'll be back.
Bye. No, all right then. You never know what you get here in this channel. Yeah, so this is an interesting problem, right? I'm going to just talk to myself here for a minute then. How do you promote something which you genuinely just created to help the community you are part of without coming across like you're just trying to sell them something, which we don't. Of course, we would like that to be a part of the value creation and then be perceived as someone who is a valuable member of the community. And I think that will turn around and get following. It's like the give first mentality we always talk about, right? I think that'll work. But since our society is what it is, the current perception will be, well, he's just trying to sell something. Which, as a matter of fact, we already got that comment before. Oh, here's the vomiter. Mitzvah vomit. Did you just turn on the camera? That's funny. The cat just turned on the camera. Yeah, so I promoted it in a couple of Facebook groups, schooly Facebook groups, and the overwhelming feedback was actually positive. People saying this is great, thank you, blah blah blah. But one guy was very, very critical and very hateful, actually. And quite honestly, I think he didn't even look what it was, because he said, it's like, oh, it just feels like profiteering. And I mean, hell, it's a free website, which we put in our own time to create, right? There's literally no way we can monetize that until it has like millions of views and we put Google AdSense on it or something. But it just links to the YouTube videos of the original creators, right? We don't recycle their content in any way, shape, or form. It's just simply a database of annotated videos where you can look for the specific topic you're interested in and find them faster than on YouTube. So it's kind of interesting, kind of an interesting dynamic. We'll see how that will work out. I'm at the end of my monologue. Did the vomiter just turn on the camera herself, or did you do that?
No, I did that. I thought it was funny.
Okay.
She was sitting right in front of the computer.
Yeah. So yeah, I just talked about that dynamic a little bit more here by myself, but it is really interesting, because that is not something we are intending to make money with. We just wanted to share it because we thought it would be helpful.
Yeah.
And now we shifted the problem for ourselves to, well, how do we now promote something which isn't even anything for us? It has no more value for us. It's just one tool which we think can help the community, and without being perceived as vultures, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we already have that guy saying profiteering or whatever without knowing anything about it.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
It's like, that's just where you jump to.
Yeah, again, I don't think he even clicked on it. I think he's just one of those guys,
right,
always looking at the negative, which is unfortunate, but whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Another idea I had, which is now shifting gears, still related to the YouTube part, but we're okay with most of the equipment we have right now, but we do need more and better equipment, probably, right?
Yeah.
So I was wondering, and I have not done any research on it, if that does exist, but I was wondering if there is like a gear marketplace almost, like specific for YouTubers, like from and for YouTubers, where you can hand down your gear.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be kind of interesting, because you can, like, a lot of them even review their gear, or mention it at least, right? And you can of course always see it in the comments, because they have their Amazon affiliate links there, and the description of the video, I mean. But it'd be nice if I could just, as a starting YouTuber, use the last generations or 2 years old gear someone isn't really using anymore, and kind of have that circular economy almost in a way again.
Yeah,
versus they might just sell it on, of course, YouTube, eBay, or Facebook Marketplace or something. But that would be cool to find if there was a thing. And now, of course, again, I don't really necessarily want to build that, because now I have another thing which I need to promote. But it would be cool if that was a thing.
Yeah, I could see it.
And it has, like, the business model could be, right, you're still working with the manufacturing brands for them to advertise on there, and maybe like have discounted offerings or something. once you're popular
Mm-hmm.
as a page.
Yeah, somebody build it.
Yeah, go build it.
If you build it, I would pay for it.
Yeah, yeah, that hasn't gone anywhere either, which is good, I guess. I was gonna make that one of my challenges for one day, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I have plenty of other things to do.
Yeah.
I was reading this channel name. Not that I want to make fun of this or anything, but that just kind of surprised me a little bit. In the channel crawler, I have it open because I was looking for schooly channels. And his last video is called Jesus Christ, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, That's My King.
Oh my.
Yeah. Probably not a schooly channel, at least not
No,
exclusively.
doesn't seem like it.
Oh, and Bible apparently stands for Basic Information Before Leaving Earth. Huh. Something to learn in his channel.
Wow.
All right, I need to close this.
Did you see that post this morning on like van life or something that was this young black couple posted like, oh, we get a lot of stares. People.
No?
Okay, so they made this post. They're a young black couple living in their van. They have two like pit bull type dogs. I think there actually might be boxers, but some kind of bully type dogs. And they made a post in the group just saying how, people stare at them a lot and they always try to be super friendly, and that's their way to kind of combat assumptions. Just have your first interaction be really positive. But it was just about, we hope one day people won't stare at a young black couple living in a van with their dogs. And there's people commenting on it like, I guess this just made me think of it with the negative people on all these places is like there's one guy commenting like, I think you're really playing this up for the emotional aspect. Like, I don't think people are staring at you in fear, like taking quotes out of what they put in their post and stuff. And then like one person after saying, yeah, they're definitely trying to use it for their advantage or whatever. And like I see what they're saying because but then like even just me driving a 87 Vanagon as my daily driver, people stare at me all the time. So
Yeah.
like they're not playing that up. They're not making that up. Like I can only imagine as being these very alternative lifestyle people that they do
Of
get
course
stared
people
at
stare.
everywhere
Yeah,
they go.
I mean, absolutely.
And it's
I
just so
mean,
shitty for people to comment and just be like, no, you are not having this experience.
well, that's the
Sucks.
downside, the dark side of the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we have it in every single venture we have right now. There is a hater already. Like even in the one which we don't have any advantage from, Schooly Decks. That's just what they do. It's just they're idiots, right? Like there's no other way to say it. Same thing with the other guy who was continuously berating against our spray foam choice, right? Like they're just idiots. I'm sorry, but if you're watching this, you are an idiot, right? Like just go away. Don't interact with people
and
on
then
the
the
internet.
other like the next guy said like, oh, all these new people to the van scene think that they're the first ones to do it when my uncle in the 60s was really the innovator. Like, why do you have to hate on people?
Yeah. Also, why is it mutually exclusive, right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. Also, before this, your last comment was probably like, "Oh, my stupid hippie uncle in the '60s." Like they have nothing good to say, right? Like it doesn't matter. You flip it no matter which way, and they're gonna bitch about it. That's just what it is. It's extremely annoying. It's extremely frustrating for the individuals who are on the other side. Which is why I usually just don't do that, right? Like I don't, now I am a creator, so I have to deal with it. But before that, I don't read comments. I don't engage with people on the internet. Like I just don't do that because you have a good portion. Unfortunately, a good portion of the population are those idiots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And always just seeing the negative and always bitching, not even understanding the
Yeah.
topic.
And it sucks because like as a third party reading that, like I want to give them validation that I don't agree with this person, but I don't want to be in this conversation. Like it stresses me out to have people being negative on the internet. I don't want to put myself in that. But I don't want these people to stop doing what they're doing just because somebody's hating on it, you know?
Yeah, they're not going to. If they are, then it's probably for the better. Because you will need, like, especially if you live in a van, right? Like, that is on the fringes of society to begin. It just
Mm-hmm.
is. I mean, it's popular now, but I mean, it's not for nothing. Has the last 30 years been? Oh, I live in a van down by the river. Been a stereotype, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool, but not everyone does, right? Most people don't, and you're looked at as kind of that weirdo. If you can't deal with that, you shouldn't be doing it, right? Like you have to be able to. You have to have thick enough skin to just ignore it. Now, unfortunately, we live in such a polarized society now that these words can lead to actions sometimes too. I mean, I can't imagine how it is for a younger black couple either, because they're dealing with much more than just the van stereotype, obviously. And then the dogs, they're not helping them, right? Like, I mean, I have to be honest there too. If you layer on the dogs, which are perceived to be aggressive dogs, and I don't know their dogs, so I can't judge, but that's not helping. Of course not. And then you have all
Yeah.
of that together. Now I see that the point of the guy, right? Like it's like maybe it's not that they're crying wolf, but they're certainly not putting themselves in the easiest position to be in either. And that's fine. But then you just have to be able to ignore it. Just, all right.
Yeah.
Or at least don't be there, right? Go off grid. Go outside cities. Like don't hang out where idiots are, which is anywhere. But I don't know. That's kind of my 2 cents to that.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not going to create understanding in people. I mean, somebody has to be that person that starts makes a change in the way people are perceiving something. So,
Yeah, but you're not going to change their minds. I really do not think anyone will ever change their minds. Maybe generationally, like maybe you can lead by example. I mean, that's always what I think. Like you just have to lead by example.
mhm.
But by interjecting into this conversation, there is nothing to be gained for anyone. It's
Yeah.
just going to get worse. Like raising awareness of it, sure, maybe. Not saying they shouldn't be sharing their experience. Um, but for them in that situation, the better thing to do is to try to avoid getting into that situation. Right? Just like you wouldn't be camping out in like shady neighborhoods, right? If you're afraid of getting robbed, well, just try to go to areas where you can live in your van safely.
Yeah.
It's a faulty comparison, I understand, but it just you can't do both of those things, right? You can't live on the edge of society and try to change society. That isn't going to work. That has never worked. It will never work. Like this needs to be done from by education, but not by like, hey, look at my alternative lifestyle, accept it. That does not work with people who are not open.
Yeah.
It just is like that, right? And I think people changing their minds over time, they're becoming more open to things, but because of pleasant experiences that they had with people they might have had a stereotype off before.
Well, right.
That makes
That's what they
sense.
were saying, is that they try to make that first positive reaction with the people that stare at them. Like they always smile and wave.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's not enough. Like it's not those. I think it's like like a very small example. I used to have way more piercings and stuff that I do now. Still have tattoos and a couple piercings, but I remember early on people saying to me, like, well, are you sure about what you're doing? Because if you ever want to find a job, right, that conversation. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's fine. I was young. I didn't really know what I was saying either, but I'll just accept that consequence, right? That's what I used to say. But I actually never had an issue with it. But I'm sure often when I first walked into the room, I had to overcome this, right? That stereotype. And I just did, like, because I just didn't think that we were even going to talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even, not even consciously, I didn't think it. It was just not, that's not why I'm here, right? For me, in my head, that isn't a problem. Therefore, I just act normal. So the better thing to do in the case of the staring, in my opinion, is just simply ignore it. Like there is nothing to stare about, right? And just live your life like you normally would. Go shopping, go just be the best self you can be. And like if you actually interact with them, if you walk by and you have a conversation, that's where it maybe starts, you know, creating positive impact on the other side. Because now they're like, oh, well, I guess they're normal people. Talk normal, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Because you know, you never know. Just people judge. That's what they do. But to be fair, stereotypes come from somewhere. They do, right? Like a lot of, if you look like a homeless punk, you're more likely to not have a job than anyone else. That's just what it is. There's statistically, you can't argue with it. So therefore, if you choose to dress like that, it's okay for people to assume that because that's their experience.
Well, it doesn't mean it's okay.
But they have no other choice. That's how humans work. You learn, whatever you learn, you're going to assume until it's proven otherwise. If your last 10 run-ins with someone who looked like that was a homeless person, I mean, not that that's even a problem, right? Or not, like the jobless person, what's the point? Then you're just assuming that because that's how your brain works, right? Like you learn and you make assumptions every day.
No, I don't think that people can be so easily categorized into like what are we talking about looking a certain way.
Well, I have like this picture of like the SLC punk kind of in front of me, you know? If you look like that, most likely you're either in some sort of music scene or something. That could maybe be your job. But maybe let's just say you probably don't have a traditional job. Like you're probably not an investment banker, right? That is still the case today, I think. And that it just is what it is. Like it's also like if you look like a hippie, you're probably more loopy, right? Like you're probably more out there, more spiritual, whatever you want to call it. If that's good or bad, it's not up to the debate even, but it's just what it is.
No, I mean, I just think there are so many different, every person is different. And I think that, like, for me, even, I like a ton of different things. Like, one day I literally could dress like somebody who is homeless and jobless and in SLC punk. And I think that's cool. And, like, the next day I could be wearing a flower dress. And I think that you can't make assumptions about people based on just what you're seeing.
But that's the only option you have. If you don't know someone, first impression is the only option you have to judge by, right? Because you might never even talk to them.
But why are you like what is the need for your judgment in that case?
No one, I didn't talk about judgment. I just said that stereotypes come from somewhere.
You just said that's the only judgment you can make. I'm not talking about like judgment. I'm talking about like judgment, like laying them out in your world. Like why do you have to think anything about that person?
I don't, but if I do, if I recognize someone and for some reason my brain now has a thought about that person, that is how it works. I do not assume, oh, that person is probably like I'm assuming what I'm seeing is what I'm saying. That's how our brains work. Until I have a conversation and I get more information, right? Like I'm not saying that I am making a decision, personally at least. I'm sure a lot of people do, but that's the problem. That's good or bad, right? Like if I'm seeing, like I agree with you. I don't give a shit about dressing one way or another for myself. And I think that's short-sighted if you judge by that. But if I see someone, I am at first going to assume something. Right? If I see someone in a suit in a campground, that tells me something. If I see someone in a Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops in a conference, that also tells me something. And if I see them, either of them just in my regular day in life, that also tells me something. Tells me less, but still tells me something. Could be one and the same person, right? I can't judge on their entire life, but it does tell me something, and that's the only thing I have to go by until I actually get more information off that person.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, I mean, I studied communication, so I had an entire semester class on nonverbal communication and what you're saying with just the way that you look and all of these things. But I also don't think that, I think that a lot of people don't stop at just what they are able to perceive, but they assume things past what's a fair like observation and what's applying meaning that
sure
is not there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure I'm even doing that involuntarily sometimes myself, because that's just the society we grew up in, right? Again, like I think you learn things, you have your own experiences, and you can't ignore these. Now, if they are your own, I think that's fair. If they're not your own and you're just learning from, I don't know, your surroundings and the news or whatever, that might not be so fair. But really the underlying question, and we're going here in quite a different topic today, but is like, do you even have a choice, right? Like, and the question is like, how do you change that? Like, I don't think you can change that. I think you can incremental change in people, like to accept certain things.
You have a choice. Like, there's different levels. Like, obviously, you know, your base instincts, if you're out and you see a lion 4 times and it attacks you, you're going to stay away from lions. But I think humans can't be judged the same way, to where, you know, a certain type of human that would represent the lion in this instance, I think there's so many environmental and different factors that would lead your instincts to create that judgment, that I think it can't be based around the person.
No, yeah, and I think you're right. Like it certainly isn't an individual's thing, right? Like, of course, I mean, the biggest debate always, black versus white. Like, should you be judged differently just because of your skin color, or like any skin color? Of course not.
Well, I would argue that statistically, men abusing and attacking women is the most common form of violence and everyday occurrence, but yet women are not supposed to be afraid of men. It's if a woman is fearful around a man at night, then they're saying like, why are you being so dramatic? Why are you reacting this way?
No, I would be if I was a woman. Like, of course, absolutely. I'm an engineer. Statistically speaking, I should be afraid of men. You're absolutely right. Like, should you make your life miserable because of that? No, because you're going to lose out, right, on life. Like, you shouldn't be locking yourself up and all of that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, statistically speaking, the odds are not in your favor.
Right.
No matter who it is, right? Like if you're at night in New York City and it doesn't matter who the guy is, he's more likely a predator than he's not. It's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
that's the case.
I think it goes even beyond that though. Like if I judged men based on the interactions of my early life with men, I wouldn't have any male friends. I wouldn't have a husband, like I would never have let those people into my life because
Right.
it was like, this will be a dangerous outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the difference, right? So that's kind of closing the loop now, maybe a little bit, where just because you are having a first impression doesn't mean that should stop you from having a first interaction or a second.
Right.
Maybe that's kind of the key here, right? Because, yeah, sure, you can have your assumption because of whatever your experiences were so far, but that doesn't mean that that individual is now that predator. It could still mean that you're going to be cautious about that first interaction, right? And I think that's fine if your experiences have been negative. But just approach it open-minded, I guess, while being careful in that example. I mean, with any example, really. But I think that's the difference, right? Like, if you see the guys sitting in their van with two pit bulls, I mean, honestly, doesn't matter the skin color, I'd be a little bit careful too. I mean, I would. Because, I mean, we've been on the road for a long time, and it doesn't matter if you live in a van, in a house, or if you're homeless. Just like those haters we talked about on Facebook, there's a lot of idiots out there, and there's a lot of people who are not the dog owners. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Just because the dogs are not at fault doesn't mean their owners are not idiots, and they're not going to watch them. And I can't assume the dogs are not aggressive. Therefore, I'm going to approach it with caution. Because I had run-ins with dogs before, which didn't end well.
The dogs make it different, especially when we're traveling with our own dogs. That if I see any dog, I'm going to be cautious because I know Nim reacts badly to dogs a lot. So I have had that experience.
Yeah, but even without our own dogs, if I see someone, let's say we're in a campground where there's other people and there's a couple rolling up in their van with two pit bulls, my first assumption is like, oh shit. Because I'm assuming the owners are idiots because there's so many idiot dog owners.
No, I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh yay, I want to pet the puppy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, the dogs are not at fault there, but like, and it's not the majority, I think, right? And it's hopefully also not the majority of men are predators, but it's just like with everything. The minority ruins it for the majority. And if you have one very bad experience with a pit bull, that outweighs 20 positive experiences with a pit bull, right? For a lot of people. And that's why you're like, then, okay, well, it's not worth it to me to assume that pit bulls are nice. It's more beneficial for my own health to just be careful about it and avoid pit bulls. Right? That's how it works, I think. That's how you come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that being said, more of a philosophical conversation today, I guess, or societal. Yeah, we'll keep you updated next week. Hopefully we'll have someone joining us again at some point, what our explorations on our YouTube channels are, and how everything is going with coStarting. coStarting is going good. The cohort 3 is great, I think. Haven't talked about that at all. Go watch those videos. They're all on a playlist, cohort 3. We have the check-in with those guys tomorrow, seeing an update from all of their projects, which I can't wait. There's a lot of movement every week, quite a few different projects. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have a peer group check-in as well.
GSD.
Yeah, getting shit done. If anyone is watching this, and if you're interested in being a part of a cohort or being a part of accountability peer group, get in touch anyway through the channel or through the website. Will eventually come all to me, and we'll figure out what would be best for you. Cool. Excellent. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.
Bye.